Serving in our military is the greatest and most important service that we ask of our citizens. But it's not the only service we can do. The Ram Truck brand believes the best way to thank soldiers and veterans for their service is by stepping up ourselves.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Brett Young. To thank soldiers and veterans for their service, Ram is encouraging everyone to volunteer in their own communities.
Volunteering at veteran centers, helping our elderly, providing for the homeless. There's so much that can be done. Built to serve isn't just something we say. It's something we believe Ram truck owners try to live up to every day. To prove it, we're encouraging truck owners from all brands to join Ram Nation and volunteer themselves in their communities.
The goal is 1.3 million hours, one for each person serving in our military.
Join us today to see how you can help at ramtrucks.com/ramnation. Let's say thanks to our servicemen and women in the best possible way by being the best and most United States that we can be. Ram Trucks, built to serve.
So let's talk for a moment about a problem that most of us have. The one thing that health experts, dietitians, athletes, and top performers all seem to agree upon is the perfect diet simply does not exist. Even with a balanced, healthy diet, it can still be hard to cover your nutritional basis through food alone. This is why there is Athletic Greens, and I'm so glad I found it. The Athletic Greens Ultimate Daily All-in-One Health Drink has 75 proven vitamins, minerals, and whole food source ingredients, which make it so much easier for you to get that comprehensive nutrition without the need for a bunch of pills, powders, or complex routines. It is simply the most complete supplement for a better you. It's different from everything else, and it's different because it's delivered in powder form, and it's mixed with water. Athletic Greens requires fewer capsules. It has superior absorption, and it does not include any binders or fillers. One scoop of Athletic Greens provides a convenient, affordable, and tasty solution to fill those gaps in your diet. So if you're looking to boost energy, strengthen your immune system, or support gut health, this is the product for you. Why not just give it a shot? Jump on over to athleticgreens.com/Rome. Claim my special offer right now. 20 free travel packs valued at $79 with your first purchase. athleticgreens.com/Rome.
And I emailed Jim and I go, hey, dude, congratulations. This is really great. Nobody deserves it more than you. I'm really proud of you. And he just writes back, thanks. Good to hear from you. And I was like, hey, but what about us? We're going in too. What?
Yo, what's cracking? Welcome to another episode of the Jim Rome Podcast, EP 105. I could not be more pumped to welcome my guests. Not guest, but guests, plural, because they're icons. They're legends. Now, I do not throw phrases around like that very often, but these guys are that. They were recently inducted into the Radio Hall of Fame in New York City. They held it down for 30 years in Morning Drive here in Los Angeles. So if you've spent any time at all in this town, you know these guys. You know their show, and you know the station, the legendary KROQ, one of my favorite radio stations ever. Kevin and Bean simply are giants in this business. I'm proud to know them. I am proud to call them friends. Proud to have been on their show countless times, and proud as hell to have gone into the Radio Hall of Fame with them. And now I'm anxious to put it down and chop it up with them right now. And that's exactly what we're going to do, as two of the GOATs in this industry are going to come together at least one more time and let it rip. EP 105 of the Jim Rome Podcast starts right now. Dudes, let me start by saying first, I am so pumped for you guys to do this. Nothing but respect for both of you. Proud to call you guys friends, and I want to say congratulations on an amazing 30-year run with Kevin and Bean. Fellas, what's going on? How are you both?
We are good. How are you?
Good. What's going on?
Jim, it was so great to spend some time with you in person in New York City at the Hall of Fame ceremony. That was a fun night.
Dude, that was so fun. I can't wait for you guys to break down what you saw in that room because, well, they don't know exactly what went down, so you guys can help me with that. But, Kevin, let me start right here. What a ride. Kevin, can you even describe or put into words what the last 30 years have been like for you?
No, I mean, it's really impossible to look at all 30 years. You know what it's like. Day to day, it's like, okay, finished with today, what am I doing tomorrow? I hope to keep my job, but what am I going to do the next day? And by the time you get to 30 years, you go, what? It's been 30 years? This makes no sense.
Man, that is so true. That is the truth. Now, Bean, I remember starting in Santa Barbara on an AM/FM combo. And the good thing about the three of us, we kind of came in at the same time. I can remember being in a small market, seeing the jocks roll through, and they'd come from all these crazy small markets, and they'd be there for a book or two, and then it was on to the next thing, and they'd move across the country. I thought it was wild. When you got to L.A., Bean, could you have ever seen yourself with the kind of run you had? 3 decades, same time slot, same station, market number 2. The whole thing is mind-blowing, especially given the backgrounds you guys had.
No, you're absolutely right, Jim. And Kevin and I have said many times that we took the job because we were honored to be offered it, but we thought at least we'll get K-Rock on our resume. They'll probably fire us after 6 months, but at least we'll be able to say to the next job when we try to go get into Tucson or someplace, we'll be able to say, yeah, but we worked at K-Rock in L.A., and it was worth the move just to have it on the resume. But in a million years, we never expected that it would last as long as it did. And there were a lot of years where we probably should have been replaced with somebody more talented. But right. we had people who were in it for the long haul. You don't see that as much in radio anymore, but we had program directors that believed in us and gave us time to learn how to do the job, and that's the only reason we succeeded. It's
what about you, Jim? How do you look at the time that you've been on?
I'm sorry, say again?
I said, Jim, how do you look at the entire time that you've been on? Is it possible to get your head around it?
No, Kevin, same thing. Exactly the same thing. Like for you, because we go day to day. We go back to zero every single day. So you put your head down and you keep grinding, you keep grinding. And then all of a sudden, one day, the three of us end up in New York City in the Hall of Fame. And we're like in our 50s, like, what the hell happened, man? Like, how did that go so fast? And now Bean's moving on. So no, it's impossible to get your head around. But the great thing, I mean, there's so many great things about you guys, but the way you came together, like Kevin, you guys kind of bust each other's balls and everybody else's, and it's all out of love, it's all out of fun. But during that Radio Hall of Fame induction ceremony, Kevin, you made the point that Bean could have chose anybody, but he chose you. I thought it was a really poignant moment, man. Like, it's getting pretty dusty up in here. Lay that out for me. How did you guys come together?
I mean, we met in Phoenix at KZZP at a radio station that he came to, and we ended up, he was doing afternoons and music director, I think. I was doing nights. We ended up doing a show called the Saturday Night Party Patrol, and that's sort of where we would go from listener's house to listener's house who were having parties. And that's where we learned we could crack each other up. And, 2 years later, after figuring out how to make a demo tape, we ended up together, and day one of us doing a morning show was the first day of January in 1990.
It's crazy. Now, Bean, is that how that went? Did you choose Kevin? Why did you choose Kevin?
You heard my remarks at the Hall of Fame ceremony. The universe put us together, Jim. There's no reason that we ever would have met in that little radio station on that particular day and hit it off so well. I don't think I would have been in the Hall of Fame if I hadn't come across Kevin. I think it was just alchemy. It was chemistry. Not everybody's a super stud, Jim, who can run the thing alone. Some of us need help. And we were just lucky that we were a good fit.
Let's not get it twisted, fellas. I have help. I mean, I might be on the air by myself, but I've had a lot of help. Now, people in our – look, I understand this, but in the industry, this is crazy. The two of you never hosted a morning show before, not together, not separately. And not only did you try this, but you tried it in Los Angeles in one of the largest, most competitive markets in the country. Kevin, it sounds insane. How did you guys get that gig?
Well, I mean, honestly, we put together a tape, and a guy knew the program director, and K-Rock was looking for a morning show, and they didn't want an established morning show that had its own issues and its own problems. They sort of wanted to grow it from scratch, so they paid us almost nothing, and they gave us time. And we had 3 to 4 years to kind of figure out what we were doing, which we wouldn't have if we started today.
Now, Bean, what about your backgrounds? I mean, you guys came from top 40 backgrounds. Like, what was the adjustment when you came to K-Rock, and what kind of adjustment did you have to make? Because that was a different world altogether.
It was, and there's no question that it was an adjustment for us on air. We were used to doing the high-energy top 40 pitter-patter, and we had to learn how to slow down and have a conversation and sound like regular people on the radio. But we got very comfortable with it. It took us a while, but eventually, we can't see doing the other thing now. I mean, this is who we are now. But, I can speak for me to say that I was a huge fan of K-Rock. K-Rock was one of the radio stations that I used to vacation in Los Angeles so that I could tape record on a little cassette K-Rock music because I loved it so much, and it was a one-of-a-kind station that no one else was playing the kind of music they were playing. So I was thrilled to be playing that kind of music because that was to my personal taste. So that helped with the adjustment. But just learning how to do a morning show is just something that you like so many other things, you learn by doing it. And we just got a little bit better every year.
All right, so I know exactly what you're saying because I grew up in Los Angeles, so I knew that station. I love that station. In fact, Kevin, I always listened. When I came up, I dated a gal in college who graduated and became a record rep, and she knew I was a huge Jed the Fish guy, so she got Jed to leave me a voicemail message, back in the day when there were no cell phones on a hard line. She got him to leave me a voicemail message on my answering machine in the 80s, and I was like, holy shit, that's incredible. It's Jed the Fish talking to me. But there were other legendary jocks. There was Jed, there was Richard Blade, there was Rodney on the Rock, who was an icon. So Kevin, what was it like being the out-of-towners, the new guys with all those legendary figures taking up the other day parts? How did they treat you guys? Were they happy to see you?
There's two parts. Everybody at K-Rock was really incredibly nice to us. Everybody was over the top nice to us. But it was like we were coming in there and everybody's looking at us like, what are you doing? And at the exact same time, Mark and Brian were just peaking on KLOS. They had everyone listening to their morning show. So luckily, we started before the internet, so people actually had to write out notes that said you're ruining our radio station, and it really bummed us out for a while. And then we just thought, well, let's read them on the air and try to have some fun with it, see if we can roll with it, and maybe we can keep the job for another week or two.
We didn't want to ruin K-Rock, Jim. That wasn't our plan.
That wasn't the plan?
We were trying to help. But we weren't very good at it, that's all. But you're absolutely right about the legends. I mean, the names you mentioned, and guys like Freddie Snakeskin and Swedish Eagle, there were so many people. We almost feel, I don't want to speak for Kevin here, but I feel like a little bit of a fraud that we got inducted into the Hall of Fame before people like Jed the Fish and Richard Blade, who in my view are far more worthy of the induction.
I don't know. You guys have had those guys are great. They're pros. They're still doing it. Richard Blade's still doing his thing, but you guys certainly did earn that. And being to Kevin's point, I like I said, I came in at the same time. I got a few of those letters myself, but if somebody wanted to MF us, they had to take the time to put it on a piece of paper, find an envelope and a stamp and do it. Bean, can you imagine what it would be like if we all came up in that era of social media where they could get right to their phones? How different would the whole thing have been?
Oh, as we've said before, we would not have survived it. I honestly think there were a lot more people who didn't enjoy our show at the beginning than there were that did. The ratings went down when we started for the first year. So we definitely would have lost people. And, K-Rock, I think, is a little more immune to social media pressure than a lot of broadcast companies are. I like to think K-Rock would have stuck with us, whereas other stations, if they'd gotten the same kind of blowback online, would have said, oh, we're making a big mistake here, we got to cut these guys. I do like to think that even in a social media era, they would have at least tried to give us enough rope to hang ourselves with.
Hey, listen, we always want to believe that, right? If we're out there putting ourselves out there and pushing the envelope, we want to know that if it comes back and we get bitten in the ass a couple of times, they're going to back us up. You know your genes are not just about you. It's something that you share with the people closest to you. So uncovering potential health issues early can help empower you with information so you and your family can move forward to a healthier future. Which brings me to Ancestry Health, which brings Ancestry Health into this conversation. You see, with Ancestry Health, you can discover how your DNA might influence certain health conditions and the steps that you can take with a healthcare provider to chart a healthier path forward. What I'm saying is this: some health conditions can be influenced by genetics. Ancestry Health looks at a carefully selected set and gives you insights as to how that might impact you and your family. Ancestry Health gives you personalized health reports that are easy to understand with actionable insights and access to genetic counseling resources, plus a family health history tool to track generations of health. And of course, you also receive Ancestry DNA ethnicity results that reveal your origins as well. Learn from your genes. Take action for your family. Go to Ancestry.com/Rome. Learn more and get your Ancestry Health Kit today. That's Ancestry.com/Rome. Ancestry Health includes laboratory tests developed and performed by an independent CLIA-certified laboratory partner and with oversight from an independent clinician network, board-certified physicians, and genetic counselors. Ancestry Health is not currently available in New York, New Jersey, or Rhode Island. I always tell my guys, you would not believe the shit that we used to do on the show, In fact, you wouldn't believe how good the show was back in the day because of, well, the shit we used to do on the show.
Yeah.
You guys were young, you were brash, you were not afraid, you were trying to get some traction, you're going up against monsters